So 2 summers ago, my dad and I were going to pick up my sister from the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. She was a freshman at the time and had to be moved out of her dorm room. So we're not really in a big rush as we're driving up there to move her out. And we get into Oklahoma and we decide to stop off at a casino there, right off of 35, I think it is. So we stop there, go in there for about an hour, and basically have our pants pulled down by this blackjack dealer. We both lose about $200 a piece, no luck whatsoever. We get in the car. We're both ticked off. My dad's asking me to drive because he's driven most of the way. So I get to driving, and we get about 10 miles down the road. And at that point, I look at my rearview mirror, and I say, yo, great. I got a cop behind me pulling me over. I guess I'm speeding. So he pulls me over into the side of the road and, gives me the ticket and everything. I'm not really being too abrasive with him. I'm just kind of making my plea that I was going with the flow of traffic, and he wasn't having any of it. So he gives me a ticket, get back in the car, and start driving again. We get about 10 miles down the road, and the same thing happens. I look back, and there's another police car pulling us over. I was probably going maybe 7 or 8 miles over the speed limit, but nothing too dangerous or nothing, too much over the speed limit. So I pull over again, and he gets out of the car, and he comes up to the window, and he's just, about to give me a ticket. And I just start yelling in the car as he's walking up. I'm grabbing whatever I can to throw. I'm beating on the steering wheel, just being really abrasive. And I guess another police officer had seen my mannerism in the car that was happened to be driving by at a slower pace because he was just kind of riding in the median there. So he whips around, pulls up in front of me, and gets out of the car and says, "Sir, there is no reason for you to be abrasive. I don't know if you're going to pull a gun or what's happening, but you need to get out of the car right now and go speak to the other officer in the vehicle that's writing your ticket." I'm like, man, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to pay the ticket. There's nothing I can argue. No, sir, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. So I get out of the car, and again, the same thing happens. I get in the car with the other officer, and I start screaming again. I'm yelling at him, going off, and finally at that moment when I thought about maybe calming down, the dispatcher comes on over the radio and tells the officer, says, I can't remember what the words were, but it was something that obviously was more important than the situation that was going on right now at this routine traffic stop. So the police officer kind of just shushes me and says, "Look, sir, here's your ticket. This is exactly what you need to do. Follow everything that's on here verbatim, step by step, and it'll get handled." So he makes me get out of the car, and all of a sudden him and the other officer just peel out of there. They whip around, make a big U-turn, and just start hauling butt the other way. And that's when I get back in the car, and I sit down next to my dad. I'm like, "What did that other officer say to you the whole time I was in there?" And my dad says, "I asked him, what's going to happen to my son?" And the officer responded, "It depends on how your son handles the situation of being in the car with the other officer, if he calms down or not. I don't know, he might end up in jail." And then at that moment, my dad had asked him, "Why are we getting pulled over again?" He said, "We knew you were coming again, so we had put in a call in advance looking for y'all," basically. Moral of the story is, I guess at that moment when that police officer got that call might have been my saving grace, or maybe it was just luck. So